I should have never listened to my cousin Jared. He was always into weird stuff, abandoned places, ghost stories, urban legends, but this time, he pushed too far. One weekend, bro. Just us, beers, and the legendary Hollow Pine cabin, he said, like it was some epic vacation. I didn't even know there was a place called Hollow Pine until he showed me this faded, torn map with a red X marked in the woods 3 hours north of where we lived. The cabin had no roads leading to it, just forest trails long forgotten. We had to hike the last 6 miles by foot, cutting through dense brush until the forest itself seemed to reject us. Every tree twisted a little unnaturally, like they had grown watching people rather than sunlight. When we finally saw the cabin, I regretted everything. It was built in a deep hollow, surrounded by pine trees so thick they blocked out the sky, and the cabin leaned like it wanted to collapse under its own secrets. I noticed something off the moment we stepped inside. The fireplace had unburned logs in it, dry and fresh, but no one had been here in years, right? Jared joked it was forest magic. But I felt watched, like something in the walls was breathing. That night, we built a fire and cracked open beers, trying to make the place feel normal. At midnight, we heard footsteps outside the cabin, slow and heavy. Jared, who never scared easily, stood dead still. The footsteps circled the cabin once, then stopped. We peeked out the small window, but the forest was pitch black. Then we saw it. A faint orange glow, like an old oil lantern swaying slowly deep among the trees. And behind the light, a silhouette, tall, crooked, wearing what looked like a wide-brimmed hat. Lantern Man, Jared whispered, like he knew him. He's real. I stared at him. What do you mean he's real? He looked pale. Just an old legend, he said, but he didn't sound sure. The next night, the lantern came closer. We heard the door rattle once, then stop. In the morning, we found deep footprints, boots the size of Jared's head, all around the cabin but leading nowhere. No entry, no exit, just circles. Jared finally told me what he knew. The Lantern Man was said to be a hunter who got lost in these woods a century ago, hunting something that wasn't deer. He never returned, but sometimes he found others. You weren't supposed to light a fire after dark in Hollow Pine. It called him. We tried to leave that morning, packed our bags, ditched the beers, didn't even eat. But the trail we came in on was gone. I mean gone. We walked 8 hours and ended right back at the cabin. Jared started panicking, muttering about breaking the mirror inside the fireplace. I hadn't noticed it before. It was small, soot-covered, barely a hand mirror. He smashed it with a rock and screamed, "That's how he sees!" Then the sky went black. Not nightfall, black. Like someone had thrown a curtain over the forest. We could see the lantern clearly now, swinging right at the tree line. But this time, it wasn't alone. Dozens of them. Lanterns swaying, figures standing under each one. Motionless. I grabbed Jared's arm, pulled him inside. We barricaded the door with the bed frame, our packs, everything. Then the knocking began. Not fists, fingernails. Scratch, scratch, tap, tap. Jared started crying. Not screaming, crying. I held a knife. It felt like a toy. That night, they didn't break in. They whispered. Dozens of voices all around the cabin, calling us by name. I asked Jared how they knew us. He wouldn't speak, just rocked back and forth. By morning, he was gone. Just gone. I was asleep for maybe an hour, and when I opened my eyes, his side of the cabin was empty. No blood, no signs of struggle. Just a note carved into the wood where he'd been laying. "You lit the fire. Now you burn." I ran, I ran straight through the woods. Didn't care where I ended up. I blacked out at some point and woke up outside a ranger station 10 miles away, dehydrated and shoeless. They found no sign of Jared. No hollow pine. No cabin. The map? Blank. Just old paper with no markings. But sometimes, at night, I still see that lantern swaying at the edge of the forest behind my house. And now, I know the truth. The lantern man doesn't haunt a cabin. He is the cabin. He finds you. Wherever you burn a fire. Wherever you say his name. And once you see his light, it never goes out. I had no plans to spend the weekend in some rusty, God-forsaken wooden cabin in the middle of Pinewell Forest. But after Sarah broke up with me and my phone wouldn't stop blowing up with sympathy messages, I needed to breathe. Just air, silence, and maybe some regret. The cabin belonged to my late uncle, who had passed away mysteriously 2 years ago. Something about a fall during a stormy night. No one wanted to deal with the paperwork or the property, so it just sat there, decaying under the tall trees, until I remembered it. When I arrived, it was eerily quiet. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that makes your ears buzz like they're trying to fill the void with something. Anything. The place was rough. Broken shutters, moldy wood, and a strange iron lock on one of the inner doors, the kind you only see on bank vaults. That door immediately made me uncomfortable. I didn't even try to open it. Something about it felt ancient. I convinced myself it was probably a storage room or some weird panic shelter my uncle built. The first night was strange. I could hear things, not outside, but beneath. The floorboards vibrated slightly between 2 and 3 a.m., and it wasn't wind. The second night, I found something behind the fireplace. A small dusty box with my uncle's name carved on it. Inside were torn-up photos of the same cabin, and in every single one, there was a figure standing near the locked door. Sometimes it was facing the camera, sometimes it wasn't. But it was always there. My hands were shaking. I didn't even hear the creak behind me until it was too late. I turned and nothing was there. But the door, the one with the iron lock, it was now slightly open, like someone had pushed it from inside. I stood, frozen. "You shouldn't be here," a voice whispered. I can't describe it. It was raspy but somehow felt wet. I didn't move. I said, "Get out." The voice snapped louder. I ran. I grabbed my backpack, the photos, and ran into the woods, tripping over roots, scraping my knees. I didn't stop until the cabin was out of sight. I slept under a tree, freezing and paranoid, until daylight. I returned just before noon, foolishly thinking the morning would make things easier. The door was closed again, locked. I should have left, but I didn't. Something in me had to know. I brought an axe from the shed and broke it open. Inside was a staircase spiraling downward, way deeper than any foundation should go. I lit a lantern and walked down, every step colder than the last. At the bottom, there was a room lined with mirrors, and in the middle, a single wooden chair facing a mirror that didn't reflect me, just a child version of my uncle. He was crying. I said nothing. Then the lights flickered and everything changed. Now the mirror showed me, older, bloodied, screaming. The next second, the lantern blew out. I heard footsteps circling me, then whispers in my ear. "He fed us. Now it's your turn." I ran back up, but the stairs didn't end. I kept running, crying, shouting. Hours passed, maybe days. Then I woke up in the chair, in the room, with a new mirror in front of me. This time, it showed a photo of me standing near the cabin door. I understood what happened. The cabin didn't haunt people. It collected them. I was the next occupant, the next whisper, the next figure behind the door. No one will believe this. But if you ever find that cabin and the door is locked, never open it. Moral lesson. Some doors are locked not to hide something, but to keep it in. Curiosity doesn't kill, it replaces. I took the job out of desperation. After I dropped out of college, I couldn't land anything solid. So when a man named Mr. Graves posted a listing needing someone to watch over a historical property in Timberlane Forest, I didn't even blink before saying yes. The pay was good. No references required. Just a willingness to stay in complete solitude for 7 nights in a specific cabin numbered 9. That's it. No cleaning. No hiking. Just observe and report any unusual events. I thought maybe the place had raccoons or needed security to stop squatters. When I arrived, I realized something was off. Cabin 9 wasn't just old, it looked preserved, like it hadn't aged a single day since the 1940s. Every other cabin around it was half collapsed or overrun by moss, but this one stood untouched, as if time refused to enter. Inside, the cabin had only 3 things: a bed, a lantern that never ran out, and an old oval mirror nailed to the wall across from the bed. That mirror was the first thing that made my skin crawl. It wasn't dusty or cracked. In fact, it looked newer than anything else. Its frame was made of black wood, almost like burnt oak, and its surface shimmered even in low light. I ignored it the first day, but that night, when I went to sleep, I noticed something wrong. The mirror didn't show my reflection. Not fully. Just my back, never my face. No matter how I moved, it always lagged, like it didn't want to catch up. I waved my hand. My reflection waved slower, then tilted its head to the side like it was studying me. I turned round. Nothing there. I convinced myself I was just tired. But the next night, it got worse. I heard breathing. Not mine. Deep, slow, and deliberate, coming from behind the mirror. I didn't sleep. At exactly 2:44 a.m., the mirror shimmered again, and I saw something else. Not me, but another version of the cabin. Same layout, but the version in the mirror was decayed, blackened. There was something moving in the mirror cabin. A person. He looked like me, but his eyes were gone, just empty sockets, bleeding. He stood motionless, then slowly mouthed something. Let me in. I threw a blanket over the mirror and slept outside on the porch. The next morning, the blanket was folded neatly at the base of the mirror. I hadn't done that. Then I found a message scratched into the wood beneath the mirror's frame. The reflection is real. I wanted to leave, but my car keys were missing. I searched the whole place. Nothing. I started hearing knocking from inside the walls, 4 knocks at random times, always 4. Then whispers, he's waiting. On the 5th night, the mirror reflection showed me asleep, even though I was wide awake, staring at it. My reflection turned its head toward the glass and grinned. I didn't grin. That thing wasn't me. It lifted its hand, and I swear to God it reached through the glass. The surface rippled like water. I ran. I didn't look back. I tried to leave the woods on foot, but every path looped back to cabin 9. No matter where I turned, I ended up facing that door again. That night, I smashed the mirror. It cracked, but didn't break. The cracks healed within seconds. I screamed. The lantern blew out on its own. I heard a voice, my own voice, whisper, "Switch." The air grew thick. My eyes watered. I blacked out. I woke up inside the mirror. I know how insane that sounds, but it's the truth. I was trapped behind the glass, staring out into the cabin. And then I saw me, but not me. That reflection stepped away from the mirror, stretched its limbs like it was new to its body, and smiled. It walked out the door, free. I banged on the glass, screamed, but the new me never looked back. Days passed, then months. I watched new people come in, one by one, hired by Mr. Graves. Each time, the mirror chose one to trap and one to set free. Sometimes the one who left wasn't even the same species anymore. The eyes would be too black, or the smile too wide. But they always made it out. I'm still in here, still waiting. The mirror lets me see the world outside, but never lets me touch it. If you're ever offered a job to stay alone in a cabin for a week, especially one numbered 9, say no. Even if you're broke, even if you're desperate. Because if you ever see your own reflection grin when you're not smiling, it means the mirror has picked you. Moral lesson: desperation can blind us, but some offers aren't too good to be true. They're too evil to be questioned.